Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Light Reading Podcast. This is the Notebook Dump edition. Congratulations for making it through week 14 of 2023. I'm Phil Harvey, and I'm joined by my light reading colleagues, Nicole Ferraro in New York, Kelsey Zeiser in North Carolina, and checking in from Colorado, we have Jeff Baumgartner and Mike Dano. Before we get going to see what's happening with everybody this week. It's been kind of a slow news week, but we've been very busy. The Light Reading Leading Lights Awards will start accepting entries for the 2023 contest in just 10 days. We'll have the site up and running for entries on April 17th, and we will announce the Leading Lights winners this year the day before Mobile World Congress Las Vegas, or MWC Las Vegas. I guess they don't call it the whole thing anymore. So that's Monday, September 25th, but you know, if you're going to be in Las Vegas, we'll have some sort of celebration planned that week. But that's when we'll announce the winners, categories, FAQs, and all the other stuff is coming up very soon. For now, let's go around the horn and see what's happening out there. Nicole, let's start with you. What's in your notebook this week?
Sure thing. I don't know if you've heard about this thing called a broadband map, but I'm going to give another update on that. So as we know, the broadband map is still in the process of being updated and such, and the version that is ready this spring will be used on June 30th to allocate BEAD funds. Late last week, right before Congress went on recess, a couple of senators, Senator Jackie Rosen, a Democrat from Nevada, and John Thune, a Republican from South Dakota, dropped a new bill, introduced a bill called the Accurate Map for Broadband Investment Act. There is no text for this bill yet, but according to details from a press release and a few details that the Wall Street Journal got, the bill, if passed, would essentially stall BEAD funds from being allocated for another 7 months. So that the maps could be fixed. Now, it would still allow 20% of BEAD funds to flow to the states right away, apparently. But that's what these two senators want. Now, neither the FCC nor the NTIA want to comment on this, but the FCC did point back to recent updates from Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel, where she has shared some of the progress that the commission has been making on improving the map. She's put out 2 statements over the last couple of months, basically saying that through the challenge process and through updates that CostQuest has made to its model and through better data acquisition, that they've been able to fix a lot of the errors. So unclear, if that version of the map has not passed muster with these 2 senators, but it's also worth noting that I do know there are other senators and also state broadband leaders who do not want the NTIA to stall any further. They want the NTIA to stick to this June 30th date. I think it's worth noting that this bill probably wouldn't have the votes to pass. The timeline is also really short. The Congress is on recess for the next week. There's very few working days between now and June 30th that would allow them the time to pass this. And then even if they did pass it, I think President Biden might veto it because he's going to want BEAD to get going, particularly as we roll into the vomit 2024 election season. So
that's the official name of it, by the way.
So it sounds like you're excited about 2024.
You mean vomit in a good way?
Yeah. Oh, excited vomit. Yeah, I'm really super excited about the future of America. Let me leave it there.
Yeah, that's probably good.
Yeah, could get dangerous from here.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that they're having this fight now, and that the timing is so critical given how long we've known this was. We sort of say this about the government all the time. Didn't we know this was happening? So I guess it's a pretty pretty remarkable development. So I guess all we can do now is wait and see whether it gets through, whether Biden blocks it. And then what happens?
Yeah, and that's not the only bill in Congress that is about broadband and about BEAD specifically. There's a couple other ones that I also wrote in the same article that I wrote about this week, so we can just link to that. But it is the most time sensitive one because it aligns with this June 30th date.
Yeah, absolutely. One more thing about broadband mapping, in case you're wondering what the deal is, we did do a nice video story about all you need to know about the national broadband map, where it came from, why it's on the top of why it gives Nicole fits, and also it'll cover the history of it and where it's going and why it's so important and kind of where it is now in about 7 minutes. So if you want to just quickly come completely up to speed, that's one way to do it, and we'll put that in the show notes link as well. Kelsey, what the heck have you been up to this week?
Yeah, so we had Phil and I have been real busy doing podcasts lately.
Yes, we both have voices this week.
I know, it's finally coming back. There was a point where I'm like, am I ever going to sound like myself again? Or
it was pretty confusing
sound like a smoker.
When our podcast guests were like, wow, both of you have deeper voices than I do.
We're like, ooh, sorry about that.
Going through puberty here. Yeah.
All over again.
Starting to feel like myself again. Well, one of the podcasts was with Anand. I'm not going to butcher his last name, but he's the CEO of IRA Technologies. And he talked about their RAP and XAP technologies, which are used in the radio access network to make things more energy efficient without sacrificing throughput. So he talked through some use cases and examples of that. And I just thought it was really interesting just to hear. I think they can improve, did he say by 25% improvement in energy efficiency?
Yeah. And he said that, the number could go, well, I think he was saying depending on the application, it's at least that much. Yeah. But he was confident that they could do much, much better over time because of the machine learning that's applied to not only the traffic patterns, but the operator's network as it stands. So there's dozens of variables in there, but apparently their technology, allows operators kind of a new way to learn patterns in the network so they can optimize exactly, I guess, how much throughput is needed to any given device at any time, and then power down certain parts of the network or rest them, if needed.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about, managing all the data that's coming through and improving on the machine learning as well. And he also discussed some partnerships with some other companies like VMware and Juniper on RIC applications. So it was really interesting. So check out that podcast. That should be up by the time this posts.
Yeah, it was a good one. It's interesting too because it's a topic that is starts in just helping operators manage their network better. But all of these operators, he's saying, are very interested in the idea of optimizing energy usage inside of their network, and this is certainly one approach to doing that. So and I'm we're hearing this and seeing this across the board from all the operators. They're definitely looking for ways to cut down on the amount of usage, even though all their advertising points to people using their devices all the time, no matter what. So it's a bit it's definitely on their mind. I don't know if it's how quickly stuff like this is going to get implemented and how hardened it needs to be before it gets rolled out into a network scenario. But it was an interesting podcast, so definitely listen to it, and you'll want to hear his explanation of it because I don't think I could do it justice.
Yeah, same. We're both like, oh, we are students here, master.
Machine learning is pretty fascinating stuff, though. It is gonna. I think it will. It's going to improve network usage across the board. But it's that the how part is still eludes me in some places. Jeff, let's keep going. What's been on your mind this week?
It's been a pretty quiet week overall, but there were some happenings going on with Charter, including some updates on its thoughts about data caps and usage-based broadband. And there's another advertising fight, this time with AT&T. But First, on the policy side, Charter is uh, coming close to the sunsetting of a 7-year ban on its use of data caps and paid peering. And those bans were part of the conditions attached to Charter's acquisitions of Time Warner Cable and Bright House Networks back in 2016. And the bans are like time flies, but they're scheduled to lift on May 18th next month. So 2023. So a while back, I put something in my calendar to remind me that this date was coming up and keep my eyes open for something on it and maybe check in with Charter on what it might or might not do when the ban lifts, presuming there's no further action from the FCC that would extend it. But before this, maybe a month or so ago, there was a report out there making the claim that Charter would, quote unquote, likely implement usage based policies when the ban lifts. But I kind of looked at it and I was like, well, that there really wasn't much to it. It sounded like it was pure speculation, like versus some insider saying this was going to happen, and that the ban would lift and Charter would make everyone mad and put in a cap of some sort. So I
Right.
did the sensible thing and actually asked Charter, if it was going to change anything when the ban lifts, and their answer was no. We are not. I mean, never say never, but it's clear that there's no big change coming for the foreseeable future. Now, I don't know if it's because Charter's been operating without caps and doesn't really see that there's much of an advantage to doing it, since really what it would do is draw some ire. But there's also some political concerns about it. I think the FCC's of course still deadlocked at 2-2, but I'm sure there are concerns that maybe the commission, if the deadlock changed, that they would move ahead and pursue the new network neutrality rules, and maybe that would put some more scrutiny on elements like data caps. So it sounds like status quo is the path forward. But I could see how somebody might wonder, Charter would make a change. After all, they did try to have the ban lifted 2 years early. And their claim was that the online video market was pretty competitive and flourishing. So the ban doesn't really meet the public interest anymore. At least that was Charter's argument. And that the FCC should therefore give Charter the same leeway and flexibility as other ISPs have. And but I think I kind of took that to mean that I think maybe some took that to mean that Charter would be interested in putting forth some new policies like data caps for home broadband service when it lifted. And then separately, there's another dust up. Mike's email tends to get filled with these things from the National Advertising Division. It seems like there's an ad fight every other day or every other week. But this one was in response to a challenge from AT&T, and the National Advertising Division announced that Charter substantiated its most consistent download speeds claim for Spectrum's broadband service. And it's really just one in a recent string of ad-related complaints that have gone through the NAD as broadband competition remains pretty heated. And we're also seeing, Comcast and Charter encroach into the mobile market. So everyone's a little sensitive right now. It feels like. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think, yeah, it just seems like it would be a bad, bad PR, but maybe a bad idea in general in terms of the broadband competitive landscape to suddenly announce and enforce data caps in home broadband service. That seems to go against what attracts people to home broadband and, wanting to do streaming and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's like, do you want to get beat over the head? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't see the upside for
Yeah.
a company like Charter. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
of where there could be an upside. My only guess would be it would give them the ability to roll out like they could roll out an extremely low price service, for people to use, and then put a data cap on that and say, here, this is, in exchange for this insanely low price for broadband, we'll cut you off at this, so don't use it for everything, just use it for necessities. That seems like that could open up an avenue for that. But again, I don't see where being overly restrictive really helps, especially given the competitive environment.
Right. Yeah, I think that they'll probably be happy to have that option available to them if they decided to do it. But I agree, probably not a real good time to change your policy for that. So,
Yeah.
but we'll
see what
see
they do.
2 years
Yeah.
from now when everyone forgets about it and like, they
Right.
kind of slip something in there. Who knows? But
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You gotta keep reading. Sadly, you have to read your terms and conditions for all your broadband service every time they update. Please give that thing this PSA. Please give that thing a look, because you never know what they're going to do with your data or what weird and fun rules they're going to add to your access restriction. Okay, Mike, we'll wrap up with you. What happened this week in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, for sure. So I have an interesting one that came through this week about, so it's a deal between Major League Baseball and T-Mobile. And T-Mobile has had a relationship with the MLB for a long time, but they announced this week that they sort of renewed that relationship and added a few things to it. So T-Mobile has long offered like free baseball streaming to its customers through this deal, but the new one is that they're going to add a private wireless network component to their agreement with Major League Baseball. And so, okay, so I'm going to read you what it says, but Jeff, I'm hoping you're listening and you can maybe translate what this means, because I don't know much about the baseball. So they said that so they're going to do a private wireless network. They're going to test an automated ball strike system, so that they would use the private wireless network to transmit real-time automatic ball strike data and video, so that the officials can review and challenge and analyze calls using an ultra-reliable, because this is according to T-Mobile, an ultra-reliable, low-latency private wireless network in select baseball stadiums nationwide. So I think that means that they're going to use it for something. Do you know what that means?
Yeah,
you know what that
well, I mean, I can kind of guess maybe like, lately when you watch a televised baseball game, sometimes you'll have kind of like some augmented reality where they kind of show the strike zone, like, and you kind of see where the ball goes. Maybe they're using the network to this private low latency network to enhance that capability in terms of tracking the ball and the spin rate and the speed and whether it's like in the strike zone and in kind of a three-dimensional way. It just feels like maybe just more analytics to add to the mix and to enhance the visual aspect of baseball. There's not enough analytics in baseball as it is, I guess. So might as well add some more. Yeah.
I mean, might as well. You've got the network. Nicole?
Yeah. Believe it or not, I have something to say on this.
Oh,
this is
I'm sitting down. Go ahead.
This is me trying to restate something I heard on a podcast 3 days ago, but on the New York Times Daily podcast, I think it was maybe Monday, they talked about changes they're making to this game you speak of, baseball, because of the home run being the big thing, everything else is too boring for everybody. So they're trying to like tighten up some time stuff, do other thingy things. That's the best I can do. Okay. I don't know more about the specifics, but it seems to me this might be part of what's that whole bigger thing to keep the game appealing to the masses who are bored. Thank you.
Well, they do. They did put the shot clock or the pitch clock on now to kind of speed up the game. Right. I haven't watched much yet this year to kind of see how that works. But yeah, you're right. They do want to kind of speed it up and make it a little more appealing. Even though it is a pastime, you're supposed to be kind of bored, but and contemplative, for
we don't have attention spans anymore, though. So that's
right. Yeah, the trying to attract. I think on the TV audience, they've been they've been losing a double-digit amount of million, viewers per year in the last few years. So it's a maybe not double digit, but it's it was like 7 or 8 million. It was a pretty big amount of their audience dropping off, every year for the last few years for baseball. And with the changes Jeff just alluded to, some rule changes in the game, pitch clock and stuff like that. The average time for a game this last week, I think, was under 3 hours, and that's the first time that's happened in decades. So yeah, people don't have 3 to 4 hours anymore. They're trying to get these things to be 2 hours plus, basically about the same, a little bit longer than your average basketball game, and they think that'll improve everything. This private network thing sounds like they're just they're tempting fate here, because they're going to get so exact with calling balls and strikes and being able to preview and review stuff that they're going to end up second guessing the umpire every time they can, and that's going to add minutes to the game, because replays kind of slightly ruined other sports by making them longer and longer. Anyway, I don't know, Jeff, what do you think?
Well, the other rule I forgot to mention, and I think this will be the tipping point for Nicole to engage with baseball. The bases themselves are now bigger. They made the bases bigger.
Oh my God! Get me
with the
season
idea.
tickets.
And here's exactly, you're like, how do I get in there?
I'm buying a TV.
Because, but the reason was to, baseball became like there weren't a lot of even attempted stolen bases, because everyone would get thrown out.
Right.
Bigger bases on each side, so suddenly just that difference of a couple inches or whatever. Suddenly there's a lot more base stealing going on, and maybe they overdid it because now there's like a ton more than they were expecting. But like I said, there's the tipping point. Nicole's going to be telling us about the pennant race in September. I just feel it. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm ready to evolve. So
right.
I'll welcome this.
I just go for the hot dogs and beer, and to kind of do some meditation, because I can't pay attention.
Kelsey, as usual, the voice of reason. Yes, Nicole, we will be expecting your picks for the National and American League playoff race.
Absolutely, I like that team, A League of Their Own. Are they playing?
Okay.
It
is on your television.
You're about 100 years late for that, but
they have.
You might actually like. I kind of like watching Little League, because they have no poker face. They're just like, oh no,
right.
Like that just happened. It's really entertaining to see just watching their facial expressions. They're like, oh no.
Yeah, I can get down with that.
Yeah, that's fun.
They haven't,
watching children's dreams just crash in front of
right,
them.
Right.
I think that would be right up your alley, Nicole.
Untrue. I love children and their dreams. Okay.
Children's dreams being crushed is like, that's
I actually can't watch children play sports because I have so much anxiety. I think they're going to get hit in the head. They're going to fall down. It's going to happen right in front of me. I'm going to have to figure out what to do. Their mom's going to be in the bathroom or something. Like I can't. I just can't put myself in that
I thought you mixed a little bit of like children's tears with your coffee every morning.
No, I love children. I just don't want them to live in my house. But I love them in the world.
No, I think the children's tears mixture is in the corporate cafeteria. I'll leave that alone.
That's what certain senators are drinking before they pass certain laws, and I will not fill in the blanks on certain.
Yeah, right.
Whoops!
Yeah,
went off the rails again.
Oh dear.
Yeah, right. Let me tug us gently back to the topic of television. So for our flash poll before we wrap up and let everybody enjoy their weekend. On this day in 1927, the image and voice of Commerce Secretary Herbert Hoover was transmitted live via television from Washington to New York City. It was the first long distance demonstration of this thing we call television. So our flash poll question is, what do you still watch on television in real time that's being broadcast live. And we've already talked about baseball, so obviously we know Nicole watches baseball. But what else? What else is there to watch live anymore?
Just kidding.
For me, the answer is
Bachelor.
nothing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like that actually.
But I only have stream. I don't have like TV. I only have an iPad. So
I mean, I'll watch sports. I'll still watch, believe it or not, XFL and spring football and whatever. But I mean, I can't think of anything else that's actually, I certainly don't make it appointment television. So I don't really know what I would watch that's appointment television anymore.
Yeah.
I watch The Bachelor. The Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise is coming up. It's just, it's fun to make fun of the show and
just watching the lives of unmarried people and how they're getting on through life, right?
Yeah. It's hard though, because the people on the show have less and less personality. They've gotten more attractive, but the personality has gone down. I'm like, time to make some graphs.
They need the Bachelor, the ugly edition or something, because everyone will be much more interesting.
Can we have like normal people that
the normal edition?
Sorry about the blood in my mouth. I just biting my tongue so hard. Goodness. Anyway, Mike, you were
first podcast injury. There you go.
Thanks.
Sorry, Phil.
All I got is Olympics and presidential debates. That's the only thing.
The Olympics.
Yeah,
that's debates.
A good one. I'll watch.
Yeah.
State of the Union. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Those are really entertaining.
Oh yeah. I mean, I watch a lot of news in real time.
Yeah. News, sports.
Yeah. See, even the local news and this, except for maybe when they interrupt for weather things, I only see the local news stuff hours after it happens. I watch it before I go to bed because I can't be around exactly when it's on, and I don't want to sit through all the same commercials over and over again and stuff like that. So I watch that on tape delay. Is that a thing anymore? Tape delay.
Well, I would say
tape.
Yeah, exactly.
Does Jeopardy count? Sometimes we watch that after the news.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Watch some David Muir, then some Jeopardy.
I would say any like kind of guilty pleasure, like where it's scheduled television. If it's something I'm going to watch, like some reality series, I'll just DVR it and I'll let it stack up for like 3 weeks and
binge it.
Not get any spoilers, and then I'll just like binge for a few weeks. But I'll rarely watch any of that live.
Yeah, I think it's more and more rare for people to tune in exactly when something goes live, but that's that could change. I don't know how new technology will unleash more interactivity with television, maybe, and we'll see what happens next. Well, whatever happens, we'll talk about it here on the Notebook Dump. So that wraps up this edition of the show. We're closing out the week of Friday, April 7th, 2023. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. We will see you next time. And thanks, Mike, Jeff, Kelsey, and Nicole. Have a good weekend.